Hi, my name is Nicole Sjo, and I am a teacher at Hurricane Middle School in Washington County School District. There I teach special ed. The topic I chose today for my topic brief to talk about is um, the school lunch programs and how the school lunch programs have changed to combat child obesity. The reason I chose this topic is because I've always had an interest in nutrition and healthy living, and I wanted to see just what the schools were doing about making um, healthy lifestyle changes. There was an abundance of literature on this topic because of the recent legislation passed by Michelle Obama. The Hunger Healthy Free Kids Act of 2010 is that new legislation. The first thing I did was I examined the history of the school lunch program to just see how much that legislation changed the current programs and what was going on. First of all, the school lunch programs began in the 1940s, and it consisted of home-cooked meals. Schools stopped doing the home-cooked type meals because there was a paranoia that kids would get sick and get some kind of salmonella related disease, and then there would be lawsuits occurring. So they stopped doing that and started doing more processed, pre-prepared food for lunch meals and breakfast meals as well. With the continued cost in food prices as years went on, the school districts also stuck to these processed and pre-made foods because they were cheaper than making meals from scratch. Another reason that they were able to do this was because the USDA had a really lenient law, really lenient regulations on what the schools could and couldn't serve. So by doing all these pre-processed frozen foods, the schools were still meeting the USDA requirements. Um, the healthy, the Hunger and Healthy Free Kids Act, the Healthy Hunger Free Kids Act of 2010 was passed, and what this did is it provided an extra 6 cents given to schools that followed this plan. And what this did is, for the first time in 30 years, it put the federal lunch reimbursement money above the rate of inflation. So you can see why it was important for the schools to follow that law, because they would then get money in turn from the government for serving their lunch programs. Now here are the guidelines. There's quite a few of them. Schools must serve fat-free or 1% milk at both breakfast and lunch. All the grains served must be whole grain. There has to be a reduction in sodium. Breakfast and lunch calorie requirements will be made for grades K through 5, and then different requirements for grades 6 through 8, and then different requirements for grades 9 through 12. And these calorie requirements are for both breakfast and lunch. At breakfast, students can choose 3 of the 4 selected items, and they must choose either 1 cup of 100% fruit juice or 1 cup of fresh fruit. At lunch, the meal must consist of 3 to 5 different components, and one of those components must be a fruit or vegetable. The requirements also increased the serving size of fruits and vegetables. Here you can look, this is the new program, which is entitled My Plate, and it shows how you have, sorry, I'm trying to get this on camera here, the best angle, how it has changed. You can see here that meat and meat alternatives are the smallest section along with the grains and the dairy, whereas fruit and vegetables are the biggest serving portions. This is quite different from the old regulations by the USDA, and this shows kind of how it's divided up. You can see here that the protein is taking up most of the plate. Down here are the carbohydrates, which again is a considerable amount, where the fruits and vegetables are really small up here. So it just kind of shows you what a dramatic change it is when looking at the actual plate of food. The nice thing about this change is that Congress gave the schools until the 2012-2013 school year to start um, the meal, or to start the calorie plan portion of the meal. The schools had until 2014-2015 school year to have the 1 cup of fruit or vegetables included in every lunch, and they had until the 2017-2018 school year to incorporate the restricted sodium requirements into the diet. Of course, with any new change, there are people who are for it and people who are opposed to it. The people that were for it said that this is great because this plan introduces kids to new foods and it gives them healthier options to have at school and reduces their calorie intake, which can help prevent heart disease and other obesity related diseases. People who were against this program talked about the cost of the program. Of course, it's going to cost more money to prepare and order these numerous fruits and vegetables that are required at every meal. And another problem, they said, is that kids aren't going to eat it. They're going to throw it away and then go home and eat the junk food that they're used to. Another problem is that Congress does not address the a la carte foods and the foods that are sold in vending machines. These foods are called competitive foods because they compete with the school lunch program foods. These foods are not funded by the government, nor do they have to follow the government regulations. Um, Students don't have to eat the new healthy foods served at school because they can just eat the a la carte food that is unhealthy and not approved by the government, or snack on snacks in the vending machines. Um, Schools are hesitant to stop stocking this food with vending machines and stop the a la carte food service because they get a good reimbursement chunk from the food companies when they sell these items. So school administrators are hesitant because they're getting a nice chunk of funding from these unhealthy foods, and the kids are of course going to choose the unhealthy options when faced with new healthy options that might be foreign to them. If the goal is to limit childhood obesity, more changes need to be in place besides just these calorie requirements and more fruits and vegetables at meals. Um, we really need to look at how the National Lunch Program is affecting our school meals and other foods too, as well as the a la carte foods and the school vending foods. For my field activity, I actually interviewed the kitchen manager at the school where I work, and she's told me some great information. She said the district as a whole has one meal, one menu, and this is Washington County School District, where all the schools follow that same menu each day. Um, they began actually making these changes in 2008 and 2009 because they heard about this new legislation and wanted the flexibility to ease into the changes. Um, the other thing that I found interesting is that through the district there are no a la carte meals served. There are, however, vending machines available for student use in all the secondary schools in the district, but they are not connected to the meal programs, nor are they placed in the cafeteria. The kitchen manager also went about saying that there's been a lot of changes in food preparation. All the deep fryers have been removed from the kitchen. The old way was that they made items from scratch. Now items are pre-portioned, pre-packaged, and sent in frozen. And a lot of the foods come in the form of powder, and you add water to mix it, such as gravy or other sauces. She also said that in order to cook anything, they must use 0-calorie cooking spray. The attitude around my school is basically negative about this new food program. The teachers and students say that they don't like the food. The cooks complain that these new regulations inhibit their creativity when it comes to meal cooking and meal planning. So, one can conclude that if changes are really going to take place in this childhood obesity epidemic, more must be done. First of all, this change in the school lunch program is definitely a start. We're moving in the right direction, but parents need to provide healthy food for their kids at home and encourage these healthy eating habits so the kids are likely to eat these foods at school. School leaders have to look at different ways of getting funding and limit these vending machines and limit these a la carte food sales. And teachers need to serve as examples and teach the students about healthy foods in the classroom. Model eating these healthy foods in the lunchroom and kind of help them and guide them towards these healthy lifestyle changes. Thank you.